Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter, or of course you can subscribe to the channel. Let's talk boxing. Let's talk about this monster fight between Canelo Alvarez and Dmitry Bivol. We're going to get technical. We're going to talk about why Dmitry Bivol can potentially win this fight, as well as why Canelo, of course, can also win this fight, and we'll come up with a prediction at the end of the video. First and foremost, Dmitry Bivol is a very fluid puncher. A lot of people seem to think he's a basic 1-2 guy, a stand-up, typical European guy. Nothing could be further from the truth. He has an elite level lead hand. He is typically Eastern European in the sense that his construct is very important. His footwork is brilliant. He's in and out very, very well. A master of distance control. He's very fluid with that lead hand. You can see that hook off of the jab. He can throw jabs to the body or to the head, as you can see there, dropping his opponent. He can come off of the line, as you can see here, when he threw the right hand, and he's almost rolling with shots inside the pocket against Chilemba here. And he can disguise his shots too. He's a brilliant boxer with a very versatile lead hand. This is a guy who understands distance among the very best in the sport. Now let's talk about Canelo Alvarez. How does he possibly overcome a guy who is taller and fluid? Well, one of the things that he does is that he will pressure fight essentially in a counter-punching manner. He's a counter-punching pressure fighter where he edges his way into range and he makes himself hard to hit, unless you decide that you're going to stand in his wheelhouse. So he'll use a lot of upper body movement and bring his feet into your area, your danger zone, whereby if that lead foot steps close into your area, you know that all he has to do is shift his weight from the back foot to the front foot, lean in and throw a punch. So by just putting his feet into your area consistently, he's able to make you feel like you need to work, you need to react, and he's able to set a tempo early in the fight, land individual pot shots or combination punches that are powerful, solid shots, and he seeks to wear you down. He'll target the body, he'll make you move constantly. And let's look at some of the ways he does this. You can see the way he's edging that lead foot into play, but his upper body remains fluid, because what he's seeking to do is make you feel like you have to react. You see that lovely little body shot he landed there on Jacobs when Jacobs finally did decide to hold his feet. You can see here how Canelo Alvarez is using that upper body movement again, and Danny Jacobs can't quite get close to him here, right? You see that he doesn't know, do I commit, do I not commit, what do I do here? And you can see that when he gets low, Canelo, you saw that up sort of shovel hook there, and then you see an up jab, then he leans to the left and throws a left hook. So he's thrown 3 different types of shots from that crouching position, and often he'll lean forward and not do any of that. So it becomes difficult to read. He's just ensuring that you're in a position to work, and if you decide to hold your feet at any point and stop moving, stop running, stop doing something that's going to tire you down, then he'll throw those big shots, as you saw there with that nice right hook into the solar plexus of Kovalev. See again, look at that high guard, those feet are edging into range. What does Kovalev do there? He decides he's going to throw a right hand. He gets caught with a left hook as well. So even when you're going to land something on him that's significant, he's going to say, fine, I'm also going to land on you. We're going to exchange. It's a trade-off. Are you sure you want this? But also, additionally to that, what he's able to do is disguise what his plan is. So when he's got that high guard, what you'll see here is that he'll bend in a certain way, and from here, he'll throw a jab. You see that? He's bent forward and he throws the jab. There was a slight delay there before he threw it. He didn't step forward and throw the jab. He didn't step into the jab, although sometimes he does do that. Sometimes he'll step in and then pull back and not do anything. So that the next time when he pulls back, he'll throw a jab as he's pulling out. Right, so he makes it varied, that jab, and he makes it very hard to read. Here you'll see him again lean forward. This time it's a lead right hand that lands. You see him again here. He comes inside behind that high guard and he throws a left hook, which causes the big damage on Kovalev, which leads to the knockout. So this is who Canelo Alvarez is. He's very, very smart at being able to disguise what it is that he wants to do. And again, like I said, when you are going to commit, as you see here from Kovalev, and you'll see in a moment from Billy Joe Saunders, he will punish you by leaning back and throwing a shot that is usually a powerful uppercut or hook. And the trajectory of that shot, can you see that? Regardless of where Billy Joe, if he was going to stand up, if he was going to bend forward, regardless of what he was going to do, it was going to land somewhere. Now I'm going to use a football analogy. I want you to look at the trajectory of his punch. For those of you that watch football, you'll know Jorginho, the Chelsea and Italy international footballer. When he goes to take a penalty, he runs up to the ball and then he does this little hop just before he's going to shoot. And that little hop is a delay in his run. There's a delay in the execution of his shot. He watches the keeper's reaction based on his movement, and then he nonchalantly just rolls the ball into the other side of the net. In some respects, this is how Canelo Alvarez shoots these uppercuts. He's noticed that Billy Joe's fallen short. I want you to look how far out his glove's going to come. Look how far it is there. That buys him time. That's the equivalent of Jorginho's hop. If Billy Joe stays upright, he can change the trajectory of that shot. If he bends forward, again, he can alter it. Regardless, the trajectory it's going to come in, it will either hit the body or the head. It makes no difference to him, as long as he hits something. But that extra wind-up actually gives him time to adjust what he's going to do. Now, this also shows you how smart Canelo Alvarez is. You see here, he's leaning in, and Danny Jacobs up against the ropes. He's coiled. He knows that there's nowhere for him to go. So he's waiting to counter Canelo. And what does Canelo do, knowing this? He pats down on that left shoulder. He doesn't throw a jab and throws an uppercut into the solar plexus, an area that he knows, regardless of where Danny Jacobs moves to, he can't miss. Now, despite that genius work from Alvarez, I also want to show you some fantastic work from Danny Jacobs, because of what transpires here is something that Dmitry Bivol might be looking to exploit. As they disengage, Canelo tries to throw a right hand. It's spotted by Jacobs. He rolls with it, deflects off the shoulder. It doesn't land. An attempted left hook to the head is blocked off by Jacobs. It doesn't land. A left hook to the hip does land. Then as he steps back, Canelo tries to throw a right hand. It's blocked off of the gloves by Jacobs. Canelo then tries to throw a jab. It's parried away. He feints a right hand. It doesn't feel like he's on. So then he throws a left hook, which goes over the shoulder. Now, if you see the position of Canelo Alvarez, you can see that he's actually not in a great position himself. Had Danny Jacobs had his construct intact, had his feet beneath him, he would have been able to capitalize here. The whole left side of Canelo Alvarez's face is open. Yeah, sure, he's cocked with his own right hand, but he's open to being hit with a shot. And we'll come back to that later. In other words, had Jacobs been in a position where he'd been able to get out and get back in quickly, exit the pocket and come back in quickly, he could have caused Canelo some serious problems here. He could have lured him onto a shot. But these overloading punches of Canelo, I've explained one benefit with the Jorginho analogy, but I also want to show you this with Billy Joe Saunders and show you again how this is really a technical error, but it provides openings for him. There's a reason he does this. You see Canelo coming in again behind that high guard. Now I want to pause it here. Actually look at the technique of Canelo Alvarez. If you saw some dude on Twitter put up a video of himself on a bag, every single one of you would be out there trolling him, right? But it's Canelo Alvarez, so no one's going to troll one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. That technique, from a scientific perspective, from a boxing scientific perspective, is shocking. He is, of course, an artist. This is artistry, because he is doing something that he interprets to be effective. And I'm going to do a video on the difference between the idea of a martial art or a boxing art and the sweet science of boxing, right? There is a difference, and we'll talk about why he's doing this. If Billy Joe Saunders had not been so defensively minded in this moment, and bear in mind, this is round one, actually think about the backhand that he could have landed on Canelo Alvarez here. In theory, theoretically speaking, he could knock Canelo's spark out of this, because Canelo's head isn't even off the center line. It's directly in line with the backhand of Billy Joe Saunders. So why does Canelo do this? Canelo knows that Billy Joe was in a defensive mindset early on. And while he throws this punch, look at where it lands. He took all that risk, and it wasn't even a scoring shot. He landed with the inside of the glove on the bicep. But look at the weight shift of Billy Joe. He wasn't thinking offensively. He was thinking defensively. But what he's done here, Canelo, is planted a seed of a pattern. He knows that Billy Joe Saunders is a boxer. He's an excellent boxer. So he's reading patterns. So what Canelo's done here is given him a pattern. He started to shoot this very overt and obvious left hook to the body. He's going to continue to do that in the hope that Billy Joe will start to read that pattern and start to react to it, perhaps by dropping an elbow or dropping his hand or dipping towards that side, and then he'll shape as though he's going to throw that left hook to the body, and he's going to come up with a left hook upstairs to try and knock him out. This is a big shot that he landed on Golovkin, for instance, and when he landed that shot on Golovkin, if you rewatch that round, you will see a little feint that he drops prior to that in that same round, which causes Golovkin's right elbow to drop, as though he was going to anticipate that hook to the body. At that point, Canelo knew, right, this guy has now processed his pattern, now I'm going to capitalize. He's one of the best in the entire sport, one of the best I've ever seen at using misdirection. But nonetheless, in order to apply those patterns, it's high risk behavior. This could be violently exposed. So let's talk about some of the things that could potentially cause Canelo problems when it comes to his disguised pressure and misdirection. First and foremost, let's talk about construct and the active exit, being active as you exit the pocket against Canelo, punching your way out, and how you can affect his construct, his balance. Your construct, your shape basically combined with your balance is central to what you're capable of doing. And if Canelo's is affected, what can happen is when you seek to punch him, that thing where he's looking to hit you back immediately, that counter punch, if you can affect his balance, it can stop him from punching. By the same token, if he does engage with you and you're active on your exit, or if he throws and you quickly get out and quickly get back in, all these three things are things that Bivol's great at, you can have success. So you see that Danny Jacobs wants to engage here with Canelo Alvarez inside the pocket. He throws a little shovel hook to the body, doesn't have much of an effect on it, but that left hook does. He lands a left hook that snaps the face sideways of Canelo, then another cupping left hook follows. He's then going to throw this little uppercut as he keeps that cupping left hook on the top of Canelo's head. Canelo notices it, rolls backwards. I think it did connect, but he rolled backwards. Jacobs was able to land a couple of punches, and if you notice, when their bodies came together here, it affected the balance of Canelo. So he wasn't able to throw anything back. All he was able to do is exit. So you had a scenario where Danny Jacobs went in and he went all the way in, and it caused the collision of the bodies. It affected the construct of Canelo, and as a result of that, he won the exchange. You see here with Golovkin as well, Canelo throws a jab, it's caught in the gloves. Golovkin counters with a jab and a right hand. Canelo tries to throw a right hand, misses, and Golovkin's instantly back in with another solid jab. Here you see Golovkin landing some big shots on Canelo Alvarez. This is the second fight, by the way. Left hook through the guard there. Right hand doesn't really land. The left hook does. And then look at here how he just has a little push on Canelo, which affects his construct, and so the uppercut misses. He's affected his balance. You see again here, Golovkin, they land hooks on each other, and then Golovkin jabs his way out. So they landed left hooks on each other, but Golovkin landed that extra shot to win the exchange. Golovkin throws a jab, it clips Canelo. Canelo's jab misses. Canelo then seems to jab, gets jabbed in the face because you see his head get snapped back a little bit there, and then he gets pushed away. So then as he gets pushed away and he tries to reset with that right hand, he misses, and Golovkin's able to catch him and turn him. Again there, gets to the side of him, and a little nudge after Golovkin does his work, comes back in with his work, they land left hooks on each other again, and Golovkin is able to outwork Canelo. Sometimes Canelo Alvarez can bring his feet in quite close together, as you can see there. As he's bringing his feet in close together there, in those sorts of scenarios when he's coming after you, when he's trying to come at you more quickly rather than that little thing where he has his leg forward and he's trying to step in and edge his way in, you have to punch on that moment. Because if you can punch when he's off balance, you can cause him problems. The other thing is, as he extends that lead leg before he plants it, so when that heel first touches, but before he plants it, he's not in a position to punch. He's not in a position to do anything because his weight is pretty much shifted onto his back foot. So it's key to throw a shot there. Now Canelo is a top level fighter, and when people have done this to him in the past, and they have, he has adjusted, and he'll throw shots, like I said, off of the pattern. So his feet will come together and then he'll throw a shot and then dip forward. He knows what you're trying to do. So against these top level fighters, you're going to have to adjust. But early in the fight, when he's trying to edge his way in and force Bivol to fight at a high tempo, Bivol can just drop a little jab and go for a little move around, right? He can outwork Canelo by making sure he's punching him off of the beat, which will force Canelo to then quicken up his feet, and that will make him potentially walk onto shots anyway. You see there, as he steps in, Jacobs is able to throw a punch, and again there when his balance isn't right and Canelo's not able to do anything. And I want you to look at Bivol here, the way he's very conscious of distance even when he's battering you. He takes that little step back and look how quickly he's back in. Just like Golovkin was there, and then once he landed and punished Pascal, he leant on him to break his construct. You see it again here, Pascal lunges in, steps back, punishes him. Look at that little push to the side of the head. That little push to the side of the head was enough. Look at him dance here, how beautiful this fluid movement is. Gorgeous stuff from Bivol. But he still just pushes him away after that. He marries beauty with some basic dark arts that affect the balance of the opponent. Okay, so you can see gorgeous stuff from Bivol there. You see a Pascal hook to the body, something you may really get to see from Canelo Alvarez, and he's instantly back in. And again there, he's instantly back in and landing shots. And again there, great distance control, lands his shots of his own, and just little pushes around that affect the balance of Pascal. Pascal tries to get really dirty there, and he literally holds his arm and starts turning him, Bivol. So he's not even worried about that. Even on the inside there, they're exchanging. He lands his hooks, then he pushes. And this is the thing when it comes to Dmitry Bivol. He's capable of fighting closer, but you don't want him to do it consistently against a guy like Canelo. And a lot of people have said to me, but Chris, if Canelo has walked down Kovalev, who's very similar, why wouldn't he just be able to just walk down Bivol and break him down? The two fighters are completely different. Bivol is a young man. Kovalev was way past his best, an aging light heavyweight, albeit a former top level fighter, a real, and he was still a champion, but you're talking about a Hall of Famer here. But you're talking about a guy who's always had a vulnerable body, or certainly in recent years, the rumours are that he's a heavy drinker in alcohol, which has inflamed the liver. This is what Team Ward brought up before the second fight, that they had this information, and since then you've seen a lot of guys go to the body. It's clearly a soft spot in him. We don't see that yet when it comes to Dmitry Bivol. He also, though, doesn't move as well. You just saw that weight distribution of Dmitry Bivol with his legs. I now want to show you how Kovalev throws his jab. You see how he shifts his weight onto that lead foot of his, because he wants to lean into that jab. You see that? Look how his weight's on that front foot. And because of that, he doesn't pull out as quickly. This is not a guy with an even distribution of his weight. You see that there again on that lead foot? So as a result of that, he's not going to bounce in and out as quickly. So he's there for Canelo, but he's not able to escape as a result. And as you can see, Canelo's close by and he's in range. He's not going to be able to do this with Dmitry Bivol as easily anyway. He's going to have to quicken up his feet. He's going to have to go through hell to get close to Bivol. And here's the thing. During this fight, in the 6th round, the commentator said that according to CompuBox, the fight had been fought after 6 rounds at range for 90% of the time. 90% of the time. If you could only get close to Kovalev, who shifts his weight onto his front foot, an aging Kovalev, who doesn't move, who's a puncher, his thought process is not how I'm going to get in and out and maintain range and give you angles. His mindset is, I'm going to, move around, but when I'm going to let go of my shots, I'm going to sit on them, I'm going to plant my feet. When you're up against a guy like that and you're only getting in close 10% of the time for the first half of the fight, you're going to have a much harder time trying to do it against Dmitry Bivol. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't find the big shot that he needs, because there is something we need to talk about regarding Bivol, and that is some of his defensive mannerisms. He has that active guard, and like I showed in the Fury White fight, when you are going to feint a guy or use misdirection, you can cause the opponent to make certain moves and then capitalize on that. I want you to see how his hands are going to come down here in anticipation of blocking off a body shot, and instead Joe Smith's going to go upstairs and he catches him with a big shot to the head. You're going to see this one more time. This time it's more about poor timing, to be honest with you, and the angles. But despite the narrative, and he does get hurt here, he's not easy to hit with these. They don't happen that much. A lot of people make out like they happen a lot. They don't, but they can happen. You see here, he tries to throw a left hook with a right hand. He thought he was protected behind his shoulder. He got caught. He got hurt. Had this been earlier in the round, who knows what could have happened. So that could be a risky scenario for him. Did you see also there how, as he stepped back, he sticks his left arm out, right? His lead arm out as he backs off. Now, the reason for that is to cut off the trajectory of that right hand. This is something that Vladimir Klitschko used to basically decimate the hopes of David Haye. It completely cut off the trajectory for the haymaker, particularly against a shorter fighter. And Joe Smith is a lot taller than Canelo Alvarez. For a guy like Canelo, who may look to come low and throw in over the top right hand, if he's backing off with this long guard, theoretically, he's cutting off the trajectory to the head. What it does do, though, however, is leave him open to the body. So Canelo will be able to dip low, throw to the body. And if he can do that consistently, what you can see potentially is what you saw earlier in this clip, where he starts to react to that and Canelo will seek to capitalize late on. But you see again the long guard there as he steps off. He can also use it for head control, and it stopped Joe Smith from being able to then throw a punch at all. So Canelo Alvarez clearly has the skill set to be able to knock anybody out in this weight category or the weight category below. I have no doubt about that. He's a big puncher and he uses misdirection better than anyone else I've ever seen. So if it's the shots you don't see coming that hurt you, and he carries power and he can stop you from seeing them coming using misdirection, then of course he's got a puncher's chance against anybody at any time. However, this is a fight where I believe he will have to win by knockout if he is to win legitimately. I cannot see how he's going to beat Dmitry Bivol at range. I just can't see it. I think he's going to get outboxed, outworked. Even with the brilliant method he has to be able to close the range against bigger guys, this is not an old Sergei Kovalev. This is not a flat-footed Callum Smith. He's able to dictate range, change direction quickly. He's very fluid. He's able to affect your construct. So what you could end up seeing is Dmitry Bivol winning the fight at range, and then when Canelo is close enough to throw a shot, he'll be able to throw a shot, land something big of his own, as Bivol then lands to get out, that active exit we're speaking about. So you can end up seeing Bivol being first in those exchanges where they're going to be landing on each other. Canelo will then land, and Bivol will be landing last on his way out. And on occasion, he's capable of doing what I showed you Golovkin did, which is to step out and come back in quickly. So even if Canelo is seeking to take portions off rounds, which sometimes he does, he did in the Caleb Plant fight. I think it was the 7th or 8th. There was one round where he spent quite a bit of time on the ropes and wasn't throwing anything. If Bivol doesn't allow him to do that, you can really see ways in which he starts to seriously outwork him. And listen, Joe Smith is a very big light heavyweight and a very durable man. He's never been down. At the final bell, he was in trouble. So don't think that Bivol doesn't have knockout power. And here's the thing. Bivol may need to stop Canelo Alvarez in order to walk away with the belts. Call me a cynic, but the country that Bivol comes from, and he's proud to come from there, his shorts always display the flag. They're not the most popular country in the world right now. And the fact of the matter is, you're fighting the cash cow of boxing in what is his adopted home country, essentially. He fights all these fights pretty much in the US, where it will be in a stadium full of Mexicans and Mexican Americans on Cinco de Mayo. Now, for you to walk away on Cinco de Mayo with the belts when you're from that country, you're going to have to win 10, 11 rounds, man. Are they going to really let him do that? I'm not so sure whether that can happen, but I have a feeling I will be coming here and many will be agreeing with me saying that they believe that Dmitry Bivol won this fight. That's how I see it. If Canelo Alvarez was to win this fight, I will give him major props. I do feel that he lost both fights to Golovkin, so if he was to win this legitimately, I will come here and I will tell you this is a legacy fight. This is the biggest win of Canelo Alvarez's career. I don't think that's the way it's going to go, though. I think people are going to be surprised by the skill set of Dmitry Bivol. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notifications button. Chat to you soon. Take care, and God bless.